It's 7:40 on a Tuesday morning, and you are standing in Foster Kilbane's office, reading a termination letter that blames you for $11,000 you never touched. Gross negligence in route oversight, it says. Printed clean, no signature yet. 9 years at Corvale Route Supply. Regional Operations Supervisor, $41,000 a year. A company badge in your shirt pocket with a photo taken so long ago you barely recognize the man in it. The laminate starting to peel at one corner. 6 weeks before this letter, you flagged a pattern yourself. 3 drivers on the east routes, logging deliveries to accounts that had closed months earlier. Every single ghost stop falling on a Tuesday. The one day of the week Foster's brother-in-law worked that loop. You sent the spreadsheet up the chain with a note that said, in your own words, this looks like more than shrinkage. You didn't name his brother-in-law. You didn't have to. Foster's reply, forwarded to nobody, was 2 lines. Stay in your lane, he wrote. I'll handle it. This is how he handled it. The actual paperwork takes a second meeting to finish. It happens 4 days later, in a windowless conference room that still smells like the burnt coffee from the pot down the hall. 14 minutes. A woman from corporate HR you have never met reading from a folder without once looking up, citing a pattern of inadequate route oversight, telling you severance is 2 weeks, effective today. Please leave your keys and badge with the front desk. You ask to see the actual audit findings. She says that information is confidential to the ongoing investigation. You ask if Foster Kilbane's name appears anywhere in that investigation. She closes the folder, squares its edges against the table like she's already filing the conversation away. You already know the answer is yes, and you already know it will not matter, because Corvale is one of 6 route distributors in a 300-mile radius, and every operations director at the other 5 plays golf with Foster twice a year. You apply to 4 of them over the following months. 2 never respond. 1 brings you in for a second interview, seems genuinely interested, then goes quiet after what you assume is a reference check that was never supposed to be a reference check at all. The 4th tells you, almost kindly, that your name came up in a conversation nobody wanted to have on the record. You are 37 years old with 9 years of route management experience and a professional reputation that follows you into rooms before you do, the way a bad smell follows a man nobody will tell to his face. Corvale never charges you with anything. They do not have to. The silence does the work a courtroom would have had to prove. Your severance runs out in month 5. Your wife, Naomi Rourke, does not say it is your fault, not once, but you watch her recalculate the household budget on a legal pad at the kitchen table 3 nights running. The same 3 columns every time. Mortgage, insurance, the number that keeps getting smaller underneath both. We're not going to lose the house over this, she says one of those nights, not looking up from the pad. We're going to figure out something else. Something else turns out to mean you are not going back into route management as an employee. Nobody in this industry is going to hire the guy with the shrinkage write-up attached to his name, whether or not the number was ever actually his. So you go looking for something nobody has to approve you for. Garrett Sowell is 66 and has run a 4-machine vending route out of the back of a Chevy pickup for 22 years, and he wants out before his knees do. You find him through a classified ad so plain it looks like a mistake. 4 vending machines, established locations, owner financing available, serious inquiries only. You meet him in a diner parking lot, the truck bed lined with a decade of dents, and a spare tire chained down with a bungee cord gone brittle from the sun. He shows you the route on a folded paper map with locations circled in ballpoint. No spreadsheet, no software, just 22 years of memory and coffee rings, staining 2 of the corners. He says the number he wants is $31,000 for all 4 machines and the accounts that come with them. And when you tell him about Corvale, about the write-up, about why no bank will look at you twice, he doesn't flinch. Banks don't know anything about this business, Garrett says. They just know how to say no to people who need a yes. He owner finances 18,000 of the 31. You put down the rest from what's left of your severance and a withdrawal from Naomi's retirement account that she agrees to without much discussion, which tells you more about how bad things had gotten than any conversation could have. Garrett's only real condition, the thing he makes you say back to him twice before he shakes on it, is that you never let a route go bad the way some men let a house go bad. One broken thing ignored until the whole structure gives. You tell him you understand. You mostly do not. Not yet. Not the way you will. Nobody ever got rich looking impressive, Garrett tells you on the day he hands you the keys. Apropos of very little. The kind of thing an old man says once, and you don't think about again for years. They got rich being the last one still standing when everybody else stopped paying attention. 4 machines become 6 inside 3 years. You build real accounts, actual paperwork, invoices, instead of Garrett's ballpoint map. And by year 3, you are clearing roughly $1,900 a week across the route. Enough to hire nobody and pay yourself something close to what Corvale once did. Harlan Prosser has done your books since year 1. A careful man who charges you less than his usual rate because, in his words, he likes watching a small number turn into a bigger one more than he likes billing hours. Most guys I bill full rate never actually grow, Harlan tells you once, closing his laptop after a good quarter. You did. When the Fairmont office building opens 2 routes over, 400 employees across 9 floors, Harlan is the one who runs the projection. $600 a week at full capacity, he tells you, more than triple what your weakest current machine pulls. He is also the one who tells you, flatly, that the expansion loan the bank is offering requires a personal guarantee across all 6 machines, not just the 2 new ones, because your file still carries the Corvale flag from 4 years back, and no underwriter is going to extend unsecured credit to a name with a shrinkage write-up attached to it, fair or not. I don't love it, Harlan says, but the projection's good enough that I think it's the right kind of risk. You sign it. 8 months later, the company on Fairmont's top 5 floors cuts its office schedule to 2 days a week, and within a season the other 4 floors follow, because nobody wants to be the last department still showing up 5 days a week to a building that's emptying out around them. Building's quiet today, Ezra says one morning, doing his lap past a lobby that used to need 2 security guards, and now needs none. Every day's quiet lately. 22 years running this place, never seen it like this. Fairmont's machine drops from $600 a week to $94. Your buffer account has roughly $800 in it. The loan payment tied to the expansion is $2,118, due in 11 days, and the number does not care that the shortfall traces back to a building's leasing decisions instead of anything you did wrong. Ezra Thackeray runs the Fairmont building. He does a lap of the lobby every morning with the same steel thermos, the coffee inside it long gone cold by his second circuit, straightening a tenant directory sign that is already straight, the brass lettering catching the fluorescence overhead. Bettina Voss works the front desk on the 2 days a week the building still staffs one, buys the same bag of pretzels from your machine every afternoon, counts out the exact change from a coin purse worn soft at the seams, the coins clicking against each other in a rhythm you could probably hum by now, instead of ever breaking a 5. You call Harlan first. He runs the actual numbers with you on the phone, out loud, the way he always does. The 5 original machines will generate close to $1,100 before the due date. Fairmont, even at its current rate, adds another $658, that's $1,758, against a payment of $2,118. $360 short, not catastrophic on its own, and exactly the kind of number that has ended small operators before, because a loan does not round in your favor. I should have pushed back harder on the guarantee language, Harlan says, and it's the first time in 3 years you've heard him sound like he's apologizing for something. I read it as standard. I should have read it as what it actually was. You tell him it's not his fault. You mostly believe it. Dwayne Marsh, who has serviced your machines twice before, calls 2 days later to say the compressor on your business park unit has failed. You notice it yourself before his truck even pulls in, a warm, sweetish smell coming off the vents, condensation beating on the inside of the glass instead of the outside, the cans inside gone lukewarm. It will run $422 installed, labor separate, Dwayne says, one hand already resting flat against the warm metal casing like he can diagnose the rest through touch alone. You ask if there's a payment plan. Dwayne laughs once, wipes his hands on a rag that has serviced more compressors than you've had customers, says he'll split it in 3 over 60 days if you don't mention it to his boss. And you don't ask whether that's a joke. Yolanda Petrosky, your account rep at the regional distributor, offers a different kind of room. She pulls your order history, 4 years of it, and tells you a full pallet commitment across all 6 machines. Saves 11 cents a unit, which against your remaining volume works out to roughly $91 a month you weren't counting on. Not the answer, a piece of one. You call the bank's loan officer, a woman named Rosalind Kemper who has clearly had this exact call before, because nothing in her voice moves. There's a stack of files on her desk. You can hear her shifting through while she talks. Other people's version of this same call, probably this same week. She offers a 10-day extension, one time only. You ask what happens after that. The guarantee means we're not limited to the Fairmont equipment, she says. All 6 machines are collateral. I'd rather not get there. Neither would you. There's a night, 10 days in, when you seriously consider letting Fairmont go and taking whatever the penalty costs. Harlan runs that math too, out loud, the way he runs everything. Losing Fairmont's equipment plus the default clause on the guarantee costs more than limping across the finish line, if the finish line is even reachable, which neither of you knows yet. Then we don't let it go, Harlan says. We find $360. You go back to Ezra Thackeray and ask if anything is changing in the building. He stops mid-lap, thermos halfway to his mouth. New departments moving into 6, he says. 40, maybe 50 new hires, starting inside 3 weeks. Nobody tells me what they do. They just tell me to have the badges ready. 40 or 50 people is not 400. It is not 0 either, and 0 has been the entire problem. You commit to Yolanda's full pallet order on credit, betting product on people who have not shown up yet. The new hires start slow, the way new hires always do. $11 the first day, then 18, then 22. Nobody knowing yet where the machine even is. Give it a week? Bettina says, sliding her exact change across the counter same as always. Nobody trusts a vending machine on day 1. You gotta earn that. By the second week, Fairmont is doing $219, nowhere near $600, nowhere near $94 either. 2 days before the extension closes, Dwayne's second payment and a restock invoice hit the account the same morning, and the balance sits at $11 for 6 hours before the week's sweep clears it. You run the final numbers with Harlan on the morning the extension is due. The 5 original machines land almost exactly on projection. Fairmont lands higher than the worst case and lower than the best one. Against the $2,118 owed, you clear it by $43. Rosalind confirms the payment without much warmth, then adds, unprompted, not everyone gets there. It's the most human thing she's said to you in the whole call. You don't feel triumphant standing in that lobby afterward, mostly tired in the specific way 11 days of arithmetic leaves a person. Ezra does his lap, thermos in hand, same as always. Bettina buys her pretzels, counts her change, coins clicking the same rhythm as always, has no idea how close it was. That night you tell Naomi it's handled. She doesn't ask for the number, hasn't asked for a number in 3 years, just says, we didn't lose the house, not really a question, and you say no. And she goes back to the legal pad, except this time, she's writing a grocery list instead of running columns, and you watch her do it longer than the task requires. You hear about Corvale secondhand, through a driver you used to supervise who calls out of nowhere to ask if you're hiring. The shrinkage started up again 2 years after you left, same pattern, same east routes, and this time the auditor didn't stop at the supervisor. Foster's brother-in-law is gone. Foster is still there, but the driver says nobody quite looks at him the same way anymore, and you find you don't feel the satisfaction you always assumed you'd feel, just something quieter. Closer to relief that the math eventually told the truth even when nobody wanted to hear it the first time. Harlan calls that Friday, same as always, except this time, it's not about numbers. Garrett Sowell ever tell you why he sold you that route instead of just closing it down? He asks. You say no. Told me once at a Rotary lunch. Said the whole business was never about looking impressive. Said the money goes to whoever's still standing after everybody smarter got bored and left. Nobody watching 6 vending machines from the outside sees any of it. Nobody sees an accountant who runs your worst numbers out loud instead of emailing them over, or a distributor rep who bets a pallet on hires who haven't started yet, or a repair tech who splits an invoice into 3 so you don't have to say no to your kid's dentist. They see coins dropping into a slot. Easy money nobody has to think about. It was never that. $360 against a due date, the kind of gap a bigger company writes off before lunch, closed by 5 people doing one unglamorous thing each, on time, without being asked twice. You still carry the old Corvail badge behind 3 newer cards in your wallet, laminate peeled at both corners now, and you're not entirely sure why, except that some mornings, doing your own lap past 6 machines the way Ezra does his past one lobby, it's useful to remember what the alternative looked like. Foster's still there, probably still doing laps of his own kind. You're not, and you've mostly stopped needing that to feel like winning. Your phone buzzes. Restock notification, machine 4, Fairmont. Running low on the pretzels Bettina buys every afternoon. You count what's left in the case, do the math without needing a calculator anymore, and head out to the truck.